Hey folks, Rick here. Welcome to my channel. Alright, well today I'm going to just show you how to do a quick maintenance on your generator. So we all have these, or a lot of us do, for our camp trailers and what have you at the races there. And these things just sit out in the dirt and run for hours on time. We service our bikes all the time, and we don't want to forget about our generators either there. So we want to make sure we use quality components in this thing, but it's pretty simple to do. It's no different than really servicing a bike. So we're going to get started with this thing, and first thing we want to do is let it warm up good, and then we're going to drop the oil on this thing here. So let's go ahead and get started with that. All right, so I don't have a table or anything. I just hate standing on my head, and it seems to be kind of a mess for me. I like to use one of these oil suckers here. It just sucks the oil out of these things. I already have one. If you don't, I wouldn't buy one for something like this, but I have one. So the drain plug's underneath here. Just drain it out into a pan. You're gonna have to get this up off the ground, but I'm just gonna use this little oil sucker here to get mine out, and then we'll go ahead and get this done, and then we'll go ahead and continue on the service. All right, I got the oil out of this thing. Now we're ready here to go ahead and put some back in. My funnel going here. Something here. What I did, I bought this brand new, and it came with this oil. Westinghouse oil, whatever it is. But this is the exact amount of oil that this thing holds. So I kept this bottle. And so what I do there is just fill it up with some full synthetic 1030 and just put it in here. That way I kind of know how much oil I need to put back in there. So sometimes it's a little over full, but this is what I like to use. I just kept this little bottle. So if you buy one of these brand new there, it's not a bad idea. Just hang on to it. Mark it down what it's for, and then it makes it easy to fill them back up. This one actually came with this funnel too. It's kind of nice. I use that for my bike all the time. This stuff's really cold. So yeah, this is going to take a little time, so let me go ahead and just top this off. Okay, so I got the oil filled back up, just double checked it, made everything was in good shape there, cleaned up everything really good. Now I've kind of flipped it around on the other side on this particular model here. So there's a couple things I need to do. This is going to vary for your particular model here, but obviously all of them's got a spark plug. So that's the first thing here we're going to go ahead and do here. Going to go ahead and pull this off, and yeah, we'll see what it looks like here and go ahead and replace a new one here. I got my new NGK one. That's what I'm going to put back in there. And yeah, so let me go ahead and get started there, and I'll pull that off. All right, so I actually just pulled it out, put a new one in. This is my old one here. You guys can see very good. It's in pretty good shape, but it's one of those things there. I mean, you could left this in there, I'm sure it would have worked fine, but again, this thing just sits out there, and runs all the time. We don't stick one of these plugs back in our bike, you change it. So let's go ahead and do that same thing on the generator. So I'm gonna go ahead and chuck this one, and got the new one in. Next thing I got to do on this thing here, there's a couple things here. So we want to clean the air filters. This has one here up on the front of the carburetor. Unfortunately, it's a little difficult to get to. Then it's got one here, and I think this one here is for the generator itself, an air intake that goes in there. I'm not really sure, 100% sure, but it does got a big air filter in it. So it's got this little box here. Gonna go ahead and remove this, and then it's got this thing here. I don't know how good you can see this thing. Here's the back side of it here that's been oiled from last year. Here's the front side. So you can see this thing here is just all brown full of dirt, and that's just from sitting out there. So I think this again is a vent for the generator and all the electrical system. I think it sucks in the air. not positive, don't really care what it is. It's an air filter there. We're going to go ahead and service this one. And then the next one here, I'm going to go ahead and get a little wrench here and hopefully, that's the wrong size. It happens to be an 8mm, I do believe. Yeah, an 8. So we're going to just go ahead and take this off here like so. It's a little pain in the butt on this particular one to get to. I wish they would have done it slightly different. Would have been a little easier, but you can still get to it pretty good. This one here, I need a extension. The other one, I do not. So we'll just, there's really nothing to see. Probably should just edit this out of the video like I do other things, but too lazy to get up. So you guys got to watch me. There we go. Kind of doing this blind in there, twisting it off by hand. Just about got it out. Don't want to drop it. All right, that out. So now we'll just pull our cover off here, and then our little air filter. So here's the air filter here. This is the inside. I don't know what this has got. It's got a little bit of, almost looks like a rust mark on it. Then the outside here, it's really not too bad. On the edges, yeah, it's still pretty oiled. So the filter itself's really not too bad. It's pretty much protective. This one here kind of sits lower where the dirt is. So maybe this helps clean the air that's coming into the box itself, kind of like a pre-filter. I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and get these things two serviced here, put this back together, and we should be good to go. So a couple of things here to think about as you're doing this is if you're putting it up for the winter, you want to put some fuel stabilizer in here. What I try to do, I do put mine up for the winter. So what I try to do, even with my bike, as I get toward the end, you never know whether you're going to make a race or I'm going camping or not going camping. As it gets later in the fall, I start putting that gas stabilizer in my gas can, so it's already in here. So hopefully the last time I run it, it's already ran through the system. That's the best way. If you're just going to put it in there today, for example, you want to get it in there, shake it up a little bit, and then let it run for a while to let it go all the way through the system. That make sure it'll start good for you next year. You won't have any problems. Obviously, clean it up. I haven't cleaned it. It's the last thing I'm going to do here is get this thing, clean it up, put the cover on it, get it all take away. Got to inspect things like the wheels. Going to end up pulling the battery out of this thing here. So I can just put it on a trickle charger and just make sure it's good. I'll probably stick it in my basement there so it's out of the freezing weather all winter. But that's really it. There's not a whole lot on these things. Simple maintenance. You need to do it often. They only hold like a quart, maybe a quart and a half to 2, depending on your model. That's not a whole lot of oil. They sit out there and run for hours and hours and hours and hours in the dirt. Usually when it's just nasty and hot or freezing cold. So it never seems to be good weather. If it's good weather, we're not running the generators because they're noisy. But yeah, pretty simple and easy. Don't forget to do this. These things aren't cheap, and you service them, take care of them. They'll last you quite a long time. So enjoy.